Hi everyone, it's Catherine. You're watching CUKpop Today, and today is Recommended Music Monday. So last week's was Miyavi. This week's is J Park. Okay, I just got, well, not just, but like 5 days ago, I think. I went and saw J Park, and I got to meet him, and it was one of the greatest concerts I've ever been to. No lie, I'm not just saying that because like, oh, I got a meet and greet, because actually the meet and greet was because I just got VIP, so all I got was the high touch. I didn't get the picture. And the meet and greet was really cool, but the actual concert was truly like fire and truly amazing. So that is why it's one of the best concerts I've ever been to. And this week's Recommended Music Monday is J Park's Evolution. Not the album, just the song, although J Park's Evolution album is amazing too. Go listen to it. But J Park's Evolution featuring Gray is just, I don't know, like it's kind of a... Gray sings on it more than J Park does. J Park does a little singing, but he raps. It's a rap song. But it's an uplifting song, and it's talking about, kind of J Park and where he's come from, and AOMG and their rise, and I don't know, it's just an uplifting song, and I've been listening to it a lot, because I'm like in post-concert depression, so I've been listening to a lot of J Park and AOMG, but I really like that song in particular. Like, it's just very uplifting, very inspiring, and it's a good song. So you guys should listen to it. It also has his older sound. Because it is from one of his older albums, it kind of has that Seattle, West Coast, Joa sound to it. But it's really good. And Gray's voice on it, beautiful, of course. So yeah, so this week's Recommended Music Monday is J Park's Evolution, the song. So go check that out. I'll put a link for it in the description box below. Love it, love it, love it, love it. And I want to talk about a little bit, I'm not going to post any videos because I don't know. Maybe I will post videos. I don't know. Probably not. But about this concert. So it just ended, like they had their Seattle stop, like I think last night. So the whole tour ended, and I've been following them from city to city. I always do that after I've been to a concert. Like, I always follow the tour, like, on each of their stops after, because I want to be like, oh, they're gonna be in San Francisco tonight, they're gonna be in New York, they're gonna be in Chicago. But yeah, but J Park, the AOMG tour was really, really cool, and just the whole vibe around it. Now, if you got kind of the general admission, you may not have had, well, you didn't, but like the whole experience, because like VIP and VVIP was really cool because you got to stand in line, and Timothy, if you went on this tour and you got VIP or VVIP, you know who Tim is, because he was lit 24/7 from the minute you got in line. Doesn't matter how early you got there, he was there. Like, I got there like 4 hours before like they even opened the door for us to like meet them, and he was there, and he had like his horn, like his, what do you call it, mega horn or whatever, and he was talking, and he was like, how you guys doing? Are you ready to get turned up? Are you ready for AOMG? And like, he was so good. I don't know how much they were paying him, because he's from LA, I think. Like, he's not from Korea, he's not with AOMG, he's from LA. And like, I don't know who's paying him, but he earned his paycheck, because he was so cool, and he was so cute and just really nice, and like he would joke with people, and he was really, really adorable. And I like, all of us, by the end of the concert, even after the concert ended, like, he was out on stage, like, cleaning up, but he was also talking to people. Like if you stayed around at the end, like, he was like, yo, what up, guys? And, like, really nice and really cool. So, Tim, my main man, how's it going? But yeah, Tim was amazing. So you'd stand outside and then you went inside and you had to wait for a while. Again, guess who was there? Timothy. He was there. He was talking to you. He was drinking with you. Like, he was partying. And then AOMG came out and everyone took their pictures first, and then my group, VIP, we got to do the high touch. And that was honestly the most nerve-wracking thing I think I've ever done. I've never had a meet and greet. The only time that I've met someone is I've met this Japanese band, One Ok Rock. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but I've met them, but that was very spur of the moment. Like, I met them outside of their bus. It wasn't like it was a get excited for a meet and greet. So that was the AOMG meet and greet was very nerve-wracking because I was preparing for it, but I also wasn't prepared for it. So the order that they lined up was DJ Pumpkin, Gray, J Park, Simon D, and Loco. And you know what? I was turned up for DJ Pumpkin because I was like, yo, this guy, you just know, this guy gets no love. When you got J Park and, like, Simon D and Gray, that, like, this boy gets no love. So I was so turned when I shook his hand. I didn't even shake his hand. I, like, high-fived him. I was like, woo! And I high-fived him, and he was so sweet, and he was like, okay, girl. And I was like, yes, DJ Pumpkin! And then Gray came up next. And my attitude went from 100 to 0 so fast, just because I was just like, I was so intimidated, and I was like, ugh. And so for DJ Pumpkin, I was like, yeah, let's go. And I gave him a high five, and then 2 inches to the left was Gray, and I was like, and I was like, hello, and I was so nervous, and I couldn't even look him in the eye, and I was like, hi, you're so beautiful, and I love you, and I'm just gonna leave now. But it wasn't over. Like, after meeting each person, I kept thinking, like, I'm done, it's over, it's done. No, it wasn't. There was another member, and it just kept getting better and better, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like, half of me was freaking out and, like, wanting to leave, and half of me was like, bitch, you pay money for this, I'm getting this handshake. Also, I was not expecting a handshake. I was expecting, like, literally a high touch, like a high five, but they were all, like, shaking hands. These hands were ice. I was so nervous, and these hands were ice freaking cold, and I was just like, oh, hell no, I am not shaking nobody's hand. And oh my gosh. And so when it came to J Park was, like, right in the middle, and I was like, and for some reason I wasn't as nervous around J Park. I don't know why, but I kind of looked him in the eye, and I was like, hi, and I put my hands up, like, for a high five, but he was going for a handshake. And it was so awkward because I just paused there for a split second. I was like, but I didn't really want to put my hands down, but he didn't want to high five me, and he wanted a handshake, so I was like, oh, okay. And so I just put my hand down. I was like, okay, let me shake your hand. Okay, bye. Like, that was probably the most awkward one, just because it didn't last a second. It lasted more than a second, and it was just really awkward. Like, the communication level was so off, and I was like, okay, Jay, okay. And we all know, I mean, I love J Park to death. I love him to death. I love his music, but he's kind of a jerk. He kind of is, and he was probably, like, actually my least favorite person to meet. I don't know if that's gonna make people mad, or if other people on the tour, you know, that, I mean, not on the tour, but, like, who went and saw the show would be like, oh yeah, I totally agree with that. I don't know, but honestly, Jay Park was like my least favorite person to meet in person, just because I felt like he was kind of like looking down on you, and I was like, okay, you know. Which I expected that, because Jay Park kind of has that vibe. So I was like, you know, he ain't gonna be, you know, no Oprah. He's not gonna like hug me or anything. So I was like, whatever. But you know who did hug me? My man, 100 grand, Simon D. Whoo! That was the best. I went in and I went to shake his hand and I was like, you know, okay, Simon D, like, I really love you. But I shook his hand and I was like, oh, and, you know, he can't speak English that well. And I was like, oh, you know, I'm sorry, my hand's cold. And he looked at me for a minute and it was like he didn't understand me. And I was like, oh, that's right. Like, he doesn't speak English that much. But then he was like, what? In, like, his really deep voice. And he was like, no. He's like, you're not cold. You're hot. And I was like, okay, like, I'll take that. I don't know in what way you meant that, but I'll take it. And then he was like, and if he had just stopped there, I would have been like, okay, again, miscommunication, doesn't really know English, doesn't know words very well. But then he was like, and he like motioned for me to come to him, and I was like, oh, hell yes. And like, he gave me the biggest hug, and I was just, I was in the clouds, man. I was floating so high. And then after he hugged me, like, I pulled away and he like gave me this huge smile. Simon D was honestly a gentleman, because I was also watching him with like lots of the girls that went up to take pictures with him. And it, like, some of the guys like Jay Park and Gray, they would just kind of sit there and not really kind of do anything. Like, the girls would sit next to them or stand next to them and they would just stand there and take their picture. But Simon D was like, no. And he would like shake the girl's hand and like put his arm around her, and he was such a gentleman. I was like, damn, Simon D. And then Loco, oh my gosh, Loco is my child. Loco is my son. He is my sunshine. And he just had this just smile on his face. Like, he was the cutest, sweetest one. And he had this huge smile on his face. And he was going for a handshake, but I don't know what changed his mind. Because then, like, he was going for the handshake, but then he was like, nah. And he put his hands up. Okay, I'm gonna be honest, when I high-fived, like, JJ Pumpkin and stuff, I was kind of hard. Like, I really have no bodily self-control when it comes to, like, high fives and stuff. Yeah, so I didn't hold back for DJ Pumpkin, and I was like, oh, sorry. After I did it, I kind of realized, I was like, oh, too hard, Catherine, too hard. For Loco, I could not do that. I was like, and I literally patted his hand. Like, I just barely patted it. I was like, and that's it. Oh my gosh, I was so scared I was gonna like break him or something, but it was so, oh my gosh, he was so sweet, and I was like, yes. And I'm really glad I ended on like Simon D. Goodness gracious, do you see this hair? So done. And I'm just gonna leave it. It's gonna be ratchet. And I'm really glad that I ended on like Simon D and Loco. Like, if I had ended on like Jay Park, whew, I don't know, that whole experience would have been a totally different feeling for me. But because Jay Park was kind of in the middle, and then Simon D and Loco were so sweet and nice, it kind of like made me forget about the rest of them. So I was like, yeah. And DJ Pumpkin and Gray were like really nice and everything. It was just, you know, they're meeting so many people, so they can't just like, that you can't stand there and like have a conversation with them. So it's just a little impersonal, but they were still very nice. It was really only Jay Park that was kind of like, I'm gonna leave now. And then the concert, oh my gosh, yes, the actual concert. It was, Simon D came out alone, and he did his songs for like, he did like Money Don't Lie, Lonely Night, you know, all the stuff from his newest album. And then, oh my gosh, he was so good. And he was going back and forth on the stage, working it in his deep voice. Oh my, I was in love. And then Loco and Gray came out alone, and like Simon D came out and then he went away, and Loco and Gray came out together but alone, like no one else came out with them, and they did together, and they like tag team. So like Loco would do a song and Gray would be kind of there on the side, and then Gray would do some of his songs and Loco would be there, and then they would do like their collab songs. Oh my gosh, it was so cool. And Gray is a little flirt. He kept coming to our side because I wasn't in the middle of the stage. Like I was at the very front, but I wasn't in the middle of the stage. I was sort of to the right of the stage if you're looking at the stage, and Gray kept coming over, and he kept looking straight at us and like smiling, like winking and flirting. And if we had like our phones up, like he would make sure to look at your phone and like give it love. Oh my gosh, he was so flirty. And I was like, dang, Gray, okay. And Loco was just a sweetie pie as always. And okay, he kept coming over to our side, and there was this one girl beside me. She, oh my gosh, he kept looking at her. Like, she was pretty too. Like, she was, oh my gosh, she was so pretty. And he kept looking at her, and he was like, what up, girl? Like, with his eyes and his body language. And I just kept looking at her. I was like, like, girl, jump on that right now, like, for real, because he feeling you, so you better do it. The king comes out, Jay Park, and the whole place went insane. He was, he was kind of sick, so he didn't really, like, he sang, but he was, he let the crowd sing a lot too. He still gave a great performance. He sang, he rapped, he danced. His dancing, beautiful. And those dancers, they were getting their lives, the male and female. Oh my gosh, every time like the male dancers came out first, and I was like, yes, and they were so cute, and they were working it, and they were looking so good. And then, but for some reason, I got like really excited when the female dancers came out, and I was just like, I was so pumped when they came out and they were working it and they were dancing. I was like, yes, you earned that, like, you work. And I screamed so loud every time they came out, and I was like, I was watching them more than I was watching Jay, and like, I loved them all. And yeah, and so like I said, I was at the very front, and so after Jay kind of did his whole thing, which he did Joa, and he did like My and Worldwide and some lots of stuff from his new album, but then some older stuff, and he did like Success Crazed. But he did Success Crazed when everyone was out, when Simon D, Gray, and Loco all came out. And okay, so like I said, I was at the very front, like I was on that bar, I was like holding on. And how the Bomb Factory is set up is, I think that's probably how most of them are set up. It's just kind of like a warehouse, and it's just very flat floor, very big, very wide. And I was at the very front, and there's like a trench in between the front of the bar and the stage. And it's a pretty, it's not huge, but like you could take like probably 3 steps across it, and then you'd reach the stage. So you were very like close. I was very close to them, like especially when they came over to our side, and I'd like wave at them or like do whatever, like I was right there with them. Okay, so when all 4 of them came out, that's when it started to get like really turned up, and like it started to get like really crazy. And leave it to Jay to just make everyone go wild throughout the whole concert, which I'm used to going to concerts. I'm used to going to rock concerts, and rock concerts are actually pretty crazy. Like, hip-hop concerts compared to rock concerts are nothing. Like, rock concerts, especially the certain types of levels of rock, it can get almost dangerous. Like, not just because of moshing, but the crowd just gets very crazy, and it just moves and it sways, and you can get pushed over, pushed down, and people don't really care about you. So I'm like a crowd expert by now. Like, I know when the crowd's gonna move, I know what's gonna happen. Okay, well, hip-hop concerts are actually very chill. I've never been to a hip hop concert that's like crazy. Like usually people stay in their lane, they stay in their spot, and you know, they might bob their head or jump up and down, but they stay in their spot, which is actually very nice and cool. And so I was doing my thing during the whole concert. I was dancing, I was getting down, I was singing along, I was, you know, I had the light stick, so I was using my light stick and everything, and I completely forgot, like, oh, you still in with a bunch of crazy people who love Jay. Okay, Jay pulled this stunt where he came over to, like, he could have gone anywhere. I don't know why he came over to our side, but I loved it, because, oh my gosh, but he came over to our side right in front of me, and he jumped down, and he was like in the trench, and he jumped up on the bar, and like by now he's taken his shirt off, he's, you know, all sweaty, his hair is a mess, it's everywhere, and he's jumped on the bar right in front of me, and I was just like, and I didn't even think about like the crowd, like what would the crowd do? The crowd went insane, which it usually does. And it just like shoved everyone from the back, shoved up, and so like, so I'm about like an inch away from Jay Park's like torso from his abs, and I was like, wow, this is pretty damn close. Okay, I really don't want to get any closer, but I wasn't prepared for the crowd to like shove me from the back, and before I knew it, like my face was like shoved into his abs, and I was like, wow, all right, I really don't want to be here. Like, I thought I did, but now I don't. And so like my head was like so far back, and I was just trying to like push against the crowd, but at the same time I was also like, Catherine, Jay Park is right there, like he's right in front of you, and he's shirtless, and he's sweaty, and I was just thinking, what's the protocol for this? Because I've never been in this situation. Like, I've never been front freaking row at anything. And so I was just like, and this all happened in like milliseconds. Like, I was just thinking all of this so fast. And I was like, screw it. And I just like, I reached up and I put, now, you know, like when you explain it, it sounds kind of hoey and like hoish and trashy, but I did it and I'll own it. So I put my hands up and I just put him like right on his chest, and I was like, I don't give an F about anything right now. I'm just gonna do it. And I did it, and I looked up and I realized I posted, oh my gosh, this is a later account of this tale, but I posted like right after the concert. I posted on Twitter, I posted on Tumblr about this, and oh my goodness, it was heavenly. And I looked up and my hand was right on his lion tattoo, like that goes on like his chest and off his shoulder, and I was just like, and I was just taking it all in. And meanwhile, like for me, this was like a heavenly, like beautiful moment. And then meanwhile, like he was going insane. He was just rapping, like cussing, spitting, like crazy. And meanwhile, I just like am like on cloud 9 right now. So it was probably, it's kind of weird thinking back on it, because yeah, he was going insane. He was probably, you know, he's rapping in Korean, but he was probably saying like, you know, F your mom, gonna destroy that pussy, I don't know. But for me, I was in love. And I was like, yes, this is the only thing that matters right now. And then I took it a step further, which a couple people saw this because they talked to me like on Twitter, and they talked to me on my Instagram, and they were you know, telling me like, that was you, like you did that. But I also put I was just traveling up his body. I'm sorry. I also put my hands on his face. Like, I did not even care at this point. I was so far gone. And I put my hands on his face, like on his cheek and his jaw. Dude, his jaw almost cut me. Oh my gosh, it was so sharp. But yeah, I went crazy. And hey, when a shirtless Jay Park jumps up literally right in front of you, what you gonna do? Don't think you'd act any better, so Yes, the AOMG show was one of the greatest shows of my life. It was so lit. It was so fire. It was amazing. So yeah, that was Recommended Music Monday slash AOMG concert story. Like this video, subscribe if you went to the concert. Tell me in the comments below which one you went to and how amazing it was, or if you didn't like it at all. I don't know. But yeah, like this video, subscribe. Thanks for watching CUKpopToday, and have a good day.